Hey everyone, it's Will, Gamer Dad, with another video for you. So first off, I'd like to give a shout out to one of my Patreon supporters, Al Heyman. Thanks for your support. Now in tonight's episode of Should You Summon, we'll discuss the various banners that are associated with our newest waifu, AS Daisy. If you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. I also do have a Patreon account, of course, for those who want to support me this way. Alright, as usual, let's get right into it. So we'll start with all the Faithfuls first. Most of these Faithful, as you know, don't last nearly as long as the 1 month in the past. So this one only lasts for about 2.5 weeks, March 24th UTC. 2 times max, one of the units will be featured on the 10th pull, guaranteed. Okay, and so you can see there are 8 there, so 12.5% equal chance divided up. Also note that this has no pickup bonus as usual since it's not mentioned, and so if you hit one of the Stellar Awaken units that can be Stellar Awaken, you only get 1 out of 3 gauges filled, and so unfortunately you will have to hit 3 off banners in order to fully awaken your unit, unless of course it's one of the retro units, in which case you only need 2. So Violet, ES Tuva, AS Lovely, AS Dewey, AS Biaka, Aoife AS, ES Suzette, and of course RCF. And of course there are bots, Rainbow Sisters, and Knights, so we don't need to show that this particular time. Now, I will say, again, this is the second banner that I've noticed that has AS Lovely in it. Not sure if because Gamer's Dad's influence over the game with his last clear using that degen clear of AS Lovely in the Melissa Manifest fight has influenced WFS to promote her. But that being said, all these blunt units are quite decent. I think in top ranked, I probably would say, obviously AS Yifa, although many of you may have her. RCF is quite useful still very now. ES Tuva is also very, very useful as a prayer user and obviously helps support water and shade teams. Violet, of course, being our premier Thunder Zone setter. Yes, I still consider her better than Oboro's Thunder Zone setting, and of course, equally valuable to Orlea or AS Orlea's Thunder Zone capabilities. ES Suzette, of course, as my alternate waifu. She's still a decent Fire Blunt unit, although I don't think she's nearly as powerful nowadays compared to some of the newer units out there. AS Biaka, never really had too much experience with her. I think she's moderately good, but again, I mean, being that she's so old, it's hard to recommend an older unit. And of course, AS Dewey, decent, but again, probably not a priority for most paid players. And so, if you really want to gamble on the units such as Violet or AS Lovely or ES Tuva, or even AS Yifa or RCF, I suppose you can gamble on this one. It is decent, however, again, unless you're missing, more than half and you really want to add those to your team. And remember, nowadays, because resources are a little bit more limited, we always recommend only pulling when you really, really, really want the unit, as opposed to it wouldn't be bad to fill out the roster. There are always going to be newer and more powerful units out there. So as much as this one does feature a few good units, I think this one is a decent but not amazing banner at best. For those who are willing to save some of your Siberius gems and instead use 1,000 paid stones, of course you know what this banner is about. You pay 1,000 paid stones and you basically get 2 star charts for our favorite dragon summoner, not Rise, the favorite dragon summoner Tiramisu. And so you do get a 1 paid pull. Obviously you can use 1,000 paid stones or your Heaven subscription ticket. You guarantee 1 of the 5 units, of which all of them are quite good actually for Earth. You got Sirius, and remember that again, no pickup bonus. However, if you don't have Sirius, you still get 1 out of 3 awakening gauges, and if you already have Sirius non-awakened, that gets you 1 closer to that. Ultra Mufa is a very powerful enabler and buffer for your teams, both Magic and Earth. Ultra Shannon is a great Earth Zone setter with preemptive move, as well as some offensive capabilities and buffing. ES Claude is still very, very useful with his 100% crit damage up among other nice goodies such as empathy, healing, and so on and so forth. And of course, Violet Lancer, who still is one of the few units that gives overthrow and also attacks while VCing in, among other things, dual debuff, and so on and so forth. And then after that, which you only get 10% times 5, which is 50%. So the rest of the 50% is divvied up over some of the other units out there. Some good, some bad, and some ugly. You should let me know in the comments below. Who do you think is good? Who do you think is bad? And more importantly, who do you think is ugly? Because I think most of us agree who's good. Some of us might agree who's bad. But ugly is obviously in the eye of the beholder. And again, the bots, Rainbow Sisters, and Knights are still here. I will say that with every passing banner and more 5-stars out there, I'm hoping that WFS does increase the 5-star rate eventually. It's bad enough to have to hit on the SA to really get full value of the unit, but considering we are, well into our, how many years now? And their still rate up is only like 3.3 to 3.6%. I mean, if they increase the odds of a 5-star, it would help, and especially since hitting any one particular 5-star is quite difficult unless you're on the rate up. So for this one, if you're willing to pay 1,000 paid stones, this is a quick and easy way to get 2 star charts for Dragon Ruler. And remember that you can buy these in the Emporium using Sabira's gems. So if you're a free player like myself, you can grind out those Sabira gems 120 per week if you're a free player. And if you have both subscriptions, I think it's a little bit more than that. Instead of using your All Cosmos. Do not use your All Cosmos. I remind you, again, not to use those on retro units and only on gacha, new gacha side grades. I talk about more in my Back to Basics video if anyone needs to look at that. However, for the sake of this video, that's all I have to say about that. Pretty good value if you're willing to spend money to get 2 star charts. As for my thoughts about these kind of banners in general, I do feel that they're always a little bit of a money grab. But on the other hand, WFS does make the 5 units featured in these kind of banners decent. So it's not like you're totally losing out. It's just that, selling us star charts directly with paid stones feels always a little bit of a ripoff, especially if you have the 255 Tiramisu and say you're a semi-whale already. Forcing you to pay paid stones to just upgrade a unit kind of sucks a little bit. Alright, and now back to the Faithful of AS Daisy. So of course, this only lasts for 16 days or so, 2.5 weeks. This one does have the full pickup bonus. So if you hit one version of Daisy, you will get all 3 out of 3 Awakening Engagement, and of course, based on your shadow, then you can see if you're able to unlock more of those stellar boards. You can clearly see I've been working on videos all day, and that's why my power is a little bit low on the iPad. I hope that it holds out while I finish off this video. And of course, just like before, no rate up for the 4.5, just the 5-star AS. The normal 5-star is also not rated up, so purely 0.8 pulls 1 to 9 and 10% on the 10th pull. And everything else is divvied up over the 100 and something units out there. And of course, for us free players, there are 2 banners. I never recommend pulling on Tiramisu unless you really don't have Tiramisu. And I'll just quickly touch upon Tiramisu's. So this is a 0.4.8. Notice that the AS is not upgraded. This one also has many of the newer units, however, not all of them. So let's just take a quick look and see what we have here. Obviously, see there, Melissa. So most of the newer units, just not the ones in banners currently. So, okay. I don't think Sazanka's in here, for example. I don't see Melpi. Oh, Melpi's in here. So it's just Sazanka's not in here. Alright, so quickly speaking, Tiramisu. I mean, with her essay component, she's gotten the shall I say, the capability to do a lot of damage. Although she's more of a specialist outside the AF, most of her damage can be done outside the AF. Even her stellar move, I believe, is more damage outside AF. And so, if you like AFs and you don't really like non-AF strats, this is already going to be a downside for you. On the other hand, Tiramisu always has been one that can actually do fixed damage, and remember that fixed damage actually does bypass barriers. So keep in mind that in her fully stellar version, her her damage can be up to, I think it's 48 million, which is no big deal, especially since bosses have billions. However, may allow you to bypass some of the early to mid game, and especially if you are newer to the game, 48 million is essentially a godsend where bypassing everything and just one-shotting it without any sort of major requirement in terms of team comp. You do require some high levels of spirit, but that can be solved through things like Grasta, equipment, which, I mean, you would use the wiki to find different ways of enhancing your spirit, and she can do a lot of fixed damage, which will get you through most parts of the game. Now, even beforehand, I remember that on the subreddit, it was quite contentious. There was actually a topic called "We Need to Talk about Tiramisu," and I think our resident Iska fan, Paulo, did talk about it, and he was actually met with a lot of anger because people didn't want to face the facts that Tiramisu shouldn't be relied on as a crutch in order to clear certain types of content. So we fast forwarded now where she can do a lot more fixed damage. She still has quite a bit of major damage capabilities, especially when she starts with the SA form, when she gets all 4 Dragon Origin stacks at the beginning, allowing her to do turn after turn of damage, because she does have to have at least one Dragon Origin stack in order to kind of exploit her major moves. She can give herself 4 stacks again, so you can do that. However, her main DPS move does require you to spam it, aka 3 moves back to back to really enhance this damage. She does also have things like moderate power speed in down. She can boost your team. She can boost herself. She can put Pierce Res down. Decent kit. The SA, of course, is a nice little bonus because remember, with the SA, it's almost like you get another turn. You can activate that at the start of turn before your main turn. And the fact that her main SA move, like most SA moves, does a ton of damage. And, of course, attacks with the Epic Twin Dragons, which is our maximum DPS upgraded 5-star move. You're going to have a lot of damage out of her, but really, I can't say she's a must upgrade. I mean, she's more consistent damage-wise than, say, for example, an Ultra Tuva, where Ultra Tuva relies on another zone or Awakened zone. And, of course, Sirius is probably a lot more powerful damage-wise if you have the SA as well. And also, he has the Barrier Pierce out there. I would say Tiramisu is a nice, decent upgrade to an old unit. Allows her to come back in and be a viable unit if you want someone to kind of center your Earth Pierce around. But by no means would I consider her a must-have. The fact she can't set any zone, she can't break zone, she does not have Barrier Pierce, and she doesn't give herself singular focus or any of these other things. Those are the kind of skills we're looking for when evaluating whether or not a unit is, as a DPS, is a top tier unit, right? Some examples of those is, of course, my waifu, ES Thili. There's a lot of units out there that can do a lot more than what retro Tiramisu can do. And so, as an aside, if you want to summon her for her just to kind of get 1 out of 3, and remember, these are not pickup bonus on this banner, then by all means, I just don't think she's necessary to go for. So keep that in mind. And if you are like myself having one, should you side grade to the SA? And my answer is, unless you have tons of Siberius gems, I would advise not to. Now, bear in mind, for myself, I've only side graded 1 unit out of 4. That is only Suzette, no Sukiya, no Melissa, and now no Tiramisu. Remember the old saying, I would treat these SA side grades just like chant upgrades. Do you need the unit? Do you want the unit? If you need the unit to clear content, or you find her waifu-ish, or adds to your roster such that you're going to use her for certain clears, by all means, pay for the side grade. It's just that, remember that Sabira's gems, like anything else, takes a lot of time for free players or light spenders to get. With subscription, I would say that that's a little bit mitigated. However, as a free-to-play, you only get 120 per week, and buying 2 star charts from the retro ones to side grade would be a 7 or 8 week cost. We are getting units a little bit faster than that, and so you're going to run out much faster than average if you decide to side grade everyone. And so again, my only thing is just upgrading 1 out of 4. You could probably afford 2 or 3 out of 4, but that comes with the cost, right? Opportunity cost in the future. All right, and finally, the star of the show, so to speak, is Daisy. This is the free banner. It still does have the pickup bonus, and same thing. 0.8 only, no upgrade for the, or upgraded for the 4.5 or the 5-star normal. And again, free banners do not have all the newest units, so Melpy should be in here, however, Sazanka should not be. So we'll just go all the way down. Melpy is there. And Bots, Rainbows, Sisters, and Knights are here as well. So, should you summon on AS Daisy? I guess the first question is, do you even have Daisy? Because I felt that Daisy wasn't one that many people went for. I think there were banners around it that were just more concentrated on, and I think everyone was kind of broke around that time too. So if you don't have Daisy and you want to add a Daisy to your roster, by all means, go ahead. To sum it up, she does have a lot of DPS. She has mild dual debuff. Power and int 25. This is actually retained moves from her 4-star kit. She does have the ability to heal and give crit damage up, and these are also 4-star moves. So she still has some of those capabilities: moderate healing, some type res, some power int down, and so on and so forth. And she can also give the Eagle Eyes boost to all party members. So that's the one where if you act after the boss does, and including HP stoppers do count as the boss acting first, then you'll do an extra 60% damage, and that Eagle Eyes buff lasts for 3 turns. I mean, the Eagle Eyes is a relatively unique buff that doesn't occur very often. Now her 5-star AS moves. Now we're talking. Earth Blunt AoE XL, blunt res down 50. It also gives blunt weapon damage up 50, type attack all blunt units 50, and when she starts with the stat called Netherworld Toll, which she start at the beginning of battle, these buffs and debuffs affect our ×2, so capped weapon damage and type attack up, blunt res down 100, completely capped, and it'll last for 4 turns, and then the type attack will be 4 moves. So very nice capped buff and debuffs for weapon damage, physical res down essentially. Not type res down, but physical res down, which is not even bad. And her other attack is Earth Blunt AoE. Gives 50% damage reduction barrier for 2 hits instead of just 1. And gives max HP of all blunt units plus 1500 and physical res plus 50. And of course, with the stack, it does increase these buffs and turns by twice. So 100% physical res up, which is ridiculous. HP plus 3000. Damage reduction, I guess it will be just 50%, but extra, and also gives status immunity. So instead of being as powerful as before, she has a lot more defensive capabilities. Keep in mind that she also has link ability for blunt units. And so when you have blunt zone active, and I don't know why it says 3 or more axe characters, but I guess it will grant flexible blunt to all party members. So I'm not sure if that is specifically for other Purgatorians, because obviously Daisy is a Purgatorian as well. And so you have Zaviro, you have Alulu, both of which are axe units. So that sounds interesting, but I don't really know if you really want to use a kind of boost like that. I guess it allows you to use Alulu or Ultra Alulu, which is kind of fun, I guess. Now, her Stellar Awaken move can do a decent amount of damage, but she is now not really a top line DPS, more of a defensive kind of hybrid unit, which is kind of weird. And especially for hybrid defensive units, what we are looking for, or what I look for in a defensive unit, are things like 50% power int and speed down. Now, she does give barrier. She does give physical res 100, and you see that in some of the more recent units anyways. That allows you to survive physical attacks like no tomorrow. So very, very good that way. Her SA move is the one that deploys blunt zone, which is ridiculous, by the way, because if you have the blunt setting zone locked behind the SA, that makes her worse than many older units where the zone activation move is part of the 4-star kit and not even the 5-star kit. So that's a big no-no, a big downside to this SA unit anyways. It does give some barrier pierce to herself, so she can do some barrier pierce, and that's pretty much it. Her move can do the barrier pierce, and she can do extra attacks and so on and so forth. Yeah, it's mid at best, to be honest. And so just looking at her kit, if you want a defensive earth unit, I guess it's okay. Giving that extra physical res 100 is quite good. It's actually among the best shielding in the game. However, type res is limited, debuff, dual debuff is limited, DPS is also limited, and most importantly, not a zone setter unless you have the SA. So that really, really sucks, in my opinion. And so I would say this is not one I would prioritize as an SA unit to summon for. Now again, if she's waifu, I guess you could summon for her, and it'll bring you happiness and joy. However, from a gameplay standpoint, man, keep in mind, blunt units right now, there's no top level blunt unit, even Earth Blunt. I mean, the last Earth Blunt team that I was using used units such as AS Tsubame and AS Miyuka. And so, I mean, those people don't do nearly the amount of damage that some of the other types of teams out there can do. And so, until they come up with more blunt units, or if Daisy AS had a zone setting move as part of her normal kit, I would say she's decent. The barrier pierce is nice, but the damage mod is low, and the shielding is nice, but the no zone setting is really terrible. So, yeah, again, not something you need to prioritize right now. I would give it a pass, and of course, since I have normal style Daisy, I am passing as well. Regardless, if you do decide to go for it, I wish you all great luck in all your polls, because, let's be honest, I want you to win. I want you to have the newest unit, and you can show me some videos of some cool play, because I won't have all the units anymore, just because the SA system forces me to save instead of pull. Anyways, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.